Welcome to the Noizze Podcast, brought to you as part of the Noizze Podcast Network in association with Liquid Death. Thanks for murdering our thirst. I'm Will, and you're about to listen to episode 3 of Favourite Noizzes, the 2024 edition, in which I speak to Sammy from the incredible Tastemaker underground label Church Road Records. Feels weird calling them underground, but I guess they kind of are. Anyway, superb label, one of my favourites. Everything they put out's a banger. He also plays guitar and does vocals for the incredible metallic hardcore slash groove metal outfit Employed to Serve. Again, big fan. We chat a bit about the label, how things have been, their plans for world domination in 2025, and of course their plans for Employed to Serve. And I'm also joined by the wonderful Elle, who is from Mountain Caller, the progressive post-metal, post-rock, doom, just really fucking cool mostly instrumental trio, sorry. Mountain Caller, brilliant band. We love them. Released their second record this year, Chronicle 2, Hypergenesis. Strongly recommend you check that out. It came out at the start of the year. It's brilliant. We talk about all things from, well, their favorite records to what's happening next year, and yeah, few bits in between. There's a nice juicy tidbit in the Church Road segment that you'll hopefully really enjoy. But yeah, the if you could also, if you enjoy this episode, please do make sure to follow us on Twitter at Noise Podcast and Instagram Noise Podcast Network, or you could drop us a hate follow. We're cool with that too. Just don't be horrible to us. Thank you. Um, like and subscribe or on YouTube, and be sure to listen wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And do give our main site a follow if you don't mind, please, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or if you're on there, Blue Sky at Noise UK. If you fancy checking out our Spotify Essentials playlist or just want to buy some merch because you're amazing, you can check out the links in our bio. Give them a click. And if you're feeling even kinder than that, we'd actually really super appreciate it. This helps more than you know. Could you drop us a review on your platform of choice? That'd be lush. Thank you very much. Enjoy the episode. So this time I'm joined by Sammy of Church Road Records and the incredible metal kind of metallic hardcore. If you go early enough, Bruiser's Employed to Serve. How you doing, Sammy?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Will. Thanks for having me on. It's always a
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah, nice to run into you for more than the 2 seconds at Camden Underground after.
Yeah, it was the classic, like, I train, I gotta go.
Yeah. Straight after the Dying Fetus show, which, as we just said before, like ridiculously good show. Really good seeing a band like that at the ballroom.
Having seen the band through many iterations from like 5 piece to 4 piece, and then when they went down to 3 piece, it's mad to think that like they're the tightest and the best sounding. I know they've been a 3 piece for like well over a decade now, but like just they're so good though, and they're so heavy, and I think you'll like agree that they don't need any other members. You know what I mean? They're such a
No,
power.
definitely, yeah.
Is
There's something really magic about like the right trio as well.
Yeah,
Like you see, you've got them, you've got a band like, I don't know, like Urn or Mountain Caller. Like there's three people, and when you've got the right three people and they lock in, there's nothing like it. And I
yeah,
think that Dying Fetus show really solidified that when they're both doing these insanely technical parts, disgusting, guttural vocals.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean they like you say the perfect 3 people and just absolute monsters at their instruments. I
Yeah,
mean, doing that kind of techie stuff and being that exposed, you know what I mean? You haven't got like loads of stuff to hide behind. It's like, yeah, fair play. Those guys
yeah.
can definitely play, that's for sure.
There's no other guitarist you can go, that was his fuck up, it's fine.
Yeah, innit, man. No, you fucked up. No, you fucked up.
But other than that, like Church Road's done really well this year, I feel like. Released some cracking records, like just done the Hidden Mothers one, the Lowen one last month. So like how's your year been in terms of like Church Road and the band as well?
Just yeah, like another one that I know it's a generic thing to say where it's gone so quick and it's been like whoa, a roller coaster, but it really has. And I think particularly from the band front, since we've been quite quiet on the gigging front, it's quite a surprise that it's steamrolled round as quickly as it has. But yeah, it's been another exciting year here at Church Road, and yeah, and just full of like lots of nice surprises, like working with bands for the first time and seeing how well their records have gone over. I mean, is a few record bands that we've worked with on their like our first release together this year, but there are a few that spring to mind because they're so fresh. As you know, yeah, doing the Hidden Mothers record and Lowen and Giant Walker and stuff like that. It's so nice to yeah be working with these bands for the first time and seeing how well received the records are. So I think Church Road will always be a reason to why our year goes quickly because considering we have like a release
Yeah.
every month, it just you know what I mean. It's like whoa shit, and then this is coming out, and then this is coming out. It just yeah, kind of breaks the year up into I don't know very quick chunks. I suppose is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you'll finish working one record and then you're already doing the next one or the next couple. Yeah. But no, it was really cool to see, like especially that Lowen record. I remember coming down to the gig at the Black Heart, the release show, and it just being rammed.
Yeah, there was such a vibe that night as well. I think I was
Such a good vibe.
yeah, just saying to like a few people, it was one of those shows where yeah, you really feel like something special is going on, and you're just kind of like, oh, this is cool. You know, I feel like this is the first of many sellout shows for Lowen, and I'm sure they'll be working their way up. You know, the venue sizes from here on in. And yeah, it was just so great to see how well received the record was because I mean, yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? And I truly think they're doing something quite unique with the music that they're creating, which is always
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, I find that there's every so often there's like a Doom record that reminds me of why I love the genre so much. Because like Doom's Doom, Doom is good,
Mm,
but then a band like Lowen comes out with that record, and it's just the most emotional, like textured, like just gorgeous Doom. And then obviously you've got Nina's vocals on it, and
oh,
she's
wicked. Like,
unbelievable
yeah,
in a band in a band with that much talent and she's still like unreal.
yeah, yeah. The vocals are just like hypnotizing, aren't they? Because they're so powerful and just yeah. I mean, they truly stand out as a unique part of the music. And yeah, you're correct. I mean, I always find it hard when we're putting something out and it's truly got its own thing going on. We always use the for fans of whenever we're sending something to people because we, you know, want to give them sort of a rough idea. But they were the hardest because I was like, oh, I don't quite know how to, put into words. We'll use things like Dead Can Dance or Bolt Thrower and sort of kind of stuff like this to give people a bit of an idea. But you just like you need
Yeah.
to listen to this because it's truly something crazy going on here and luckily people did and they sort of heard for themselves how wild the record was but
Yeah.
yeah I mean it scratches so many itches for me like you said it being a bit doomy and then the guys I think actually Shem and Nina they met at an Akakoka show. That's how they first got together. So they're huge well, quite a lot of influence coming from Akakoka, which I hear in certain bits, and they're like one of my favorite bands. So love that. And there's like the big monstrous like bolt thrower riffs, and then you just got all of the original stuff going on as well,
Yeah.
which is the big selling point.
It's like being hit by a tank as well
Yeah,
as all like the original stuff and then yeah, the Hidden Mothers record. I mean, that's my second favorite record of this year.
it's
Um,
stunning, isn't it, man?
yeah,
Like we've known those guys for quite a some time now. We played some shows with them ETS, and I've always thought their music is it's like amazing and like so that perfect blend of quite intense, but then like really melodic. But this new record is just it's incredible. I mean, I feel like they really hit a home run with this one.
yeah,
They did the right thing and like they did that first EP and rather than rushing to do that first album they obviously sat and took their time to write the best thing they possibly could and it shows because the
yeah.
album is just phenomenal.
I don't know if I said, but I texted a friend of mine and I was talking about it when you sent me it, and I think I said to them something like it fills the Oathbreaker hole in my heart, like
Right,
because
absolutely.
yeah, because I fucking love Oathbreaker. I'm gutted I'll probably never see them, and then I heard this and I was like, I'm less sad about that now. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Because it doesn't feel like there's a load of people kind of doing that kind of vibe. I mean, I suppose it's not exactly Oathbreaker because that's like they kind of had their own thing as well. But that kind of melodic, kind of emotive hardcore, but mixed with just some like real I don't
yeah,
know like
That's what it is for me, is it's like the emotion that's mixed in with like the post-hardcore, the screamo. Like
Yeah.
sonically they're a bit different. They do their own thing. But again, because it's a similar vibe, like that's what it is for me. Um, but yeah, so speaking of records that have been coming out this year, we'll talk about what your favorite release of the year has been. So
Yeah.
what is it?
Well, this it's been a hard one this year because there's been so much I've enjoyed. I remember last year I picked Dodheim's Guard, Black Medium Current, because that was like head and shoulders like the best thing. And there's been loads of great stuff this year. It just so happens Dodheim's Guard is like one of those special bands for me. So I've literally been thinking all day, what am I going to pick? And I decided, because I love this record, and also I tend to go the route of usually it's like some death metal band or black metal band I pick. I thought I will pick Drug Church Prude this time around
Oh,
because yeah, I mean I've been like a huge fan of Drug Church for some time, but I feel like Prude might be my favorite record they've done. I feel like it's their strongest to date, and yeah, I can listen to it on repeat and not get bored of it. I love it.
yeah, that's an interesting pick. Yeah, I was like you say, I was expecting like a black metal or a death metal record.
And there's been a lot of good stuff as well. I mean,
Oh,
because we
absolutely. Yeah.
could shout out the Incantation record, but I feel like that's obviously on a lot of people's lists, and it would be the obvious choice. So I thought I'd go for something a bit different,
Yeah.
at least, anyway.
I mean, even like the Blood Incantation one, as an aside, like that making Metal Hammer's album of the year. When
Right.
I opened that and saw it, I was like, you know what? Fair fucks
Yeah. I
for
mean,
an
it
album
is an
that
incredible
weird.
record, so
But yeah,
props to him.
and then they've got the Drug Church album, which feels like it's almost on the opposite end of the spectrum. Like
Yeah.
it's much shorter, it's much more kind of punchy, punky, and even, I've only listened to it a few times, but it is a really, really special record. Like it's got a
Yeah.
lot of kind of honesty to it.
Absolutely. Patrick's lyric, I mean, he's a great lyricist just anyway, but the lyrics on this one in particular are just like really, really stand out, you know.
Hmm.
And yeah, and it's just the perfect length. Like it's one of those records where it doesn't go on too long, when it gets to the last track and it stops, you're like, oh, I want to put it on again because it's like that perfect length. It doesn't outstay its welcome, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long is it? It's 30-ish minutes, I
I
think.
guess so. Yeah, I don't think it's like it can't be much longer than that.
Yeah. I kind of love that as well because, like you say, it means you've listened to it and then it's done and you're like, oh, well, I
Yeah,
could stand to hear that again.
yeah, absolutely. That's what you want. You want people to just like bang it on
Yeah.
straight away again. But yeah, I for ages like Cheer was my favorite thing they'd done, and then they did Hygiene after that, which I dug. But this one, I think, yeah, this might be my new favorite Drug Church record.
Nice.
Yeah, just
What's
like
what's like your best track on it then, do you reckon?
so it's I can't pick between either peer review, the bitters, or business ethics because the lyrics on that like all truly stand out. Business ethics is yeah, sort of talking about his cousin who's like needs money for drugs, so he calls up, I think it's his mum, to like pretend that he's been kidnapped and gets her to like send money to the people who've kidnapped him so he can buy drugs and stuff. I think it's the ability for Patrick to be able to talk about these like truly bleak things under the guise of quite a cheery sounding song. You know, I mean, all their
Yeah.
music is quite, in a quite major key sounding, and like you can quite happily like bop along to it. But then he's like talking about like a family member who's like, riddled with addiction, doing terrible things to con
Yeah.
family members out of money. Um, yeah, it's that ability to talk about quite bleak things, but in quite a playful manner. I mean, same with like peer reviews great because I was talking to Justine about it earlier today. It's this whole kind of thing of walking down the street and seeing people, who live in your hometown and stuff, whether it be like homeless people or someone who's dealing with like mental health issues. So they're acting a bit strange in public and kind of being on your high horse of being like, I'm better than these people. And it's like going, no, these are your peers. These are the people that you're in it with. Get off your high horse. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is who you share the world with. You are no better than them. And I think, yeah, that makes for like a great album closer. Once again, just kind of dealing with some of the sort of harsh realities of the world and bringing people back down to earth and I don't know, humbling
Yeah.
them, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a way of saying I've told you all these hot, like harrowing and like bleak stories through these happy songs. Just want to remind you that could happen, like could literally be all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? It's like, before you start, looking at other people and being judgmental, it's like, it could be anyone in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
You
remember you're like one bad month away from it, sort of thing. Like,
Absolutely. You know what I mean? And, everyone's got had family or friends or something who's been in some tricky situations. So you
yeah,
realize how close it all is. There's not many degrees of separation from all that stuff. But yeah, it's nice because like obviously these are kind of subjects that come up a lot in all forms of music, to be fair, not just, rock and metal. But it kind of I don't know, there's like something about listening to this kind of stuff, but put forward in this, I don't want to necessarily say like jovial manner, but like in a slightly more upbeat and like up tempo kind of feel that kind of makes you think about these things, but without kind of being like, oh fucking hell, man, the world sucks,
yeah, it almost takes out that nihilist edge of it and it makes you go, I actually think about the issue through the
Yeah,
actual issue itself.
yeah, and we're all in this together. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It has this sort of, I don't know, essence of camaraderie about it. You know what I mean? Which I suppose is kind of like the more hardcore sense of the band kind of bleeding
yeah,
in. I don't know, but yeah, I just the lyrics like properly stand out. There's another one as well. Oh, I can't remember which track it is. It's either Hey Listen or Demolition Man, which talks about. I think it's some kid that Patrick went to school with, and yeah, I don't know. It's and the sort of horrible conditions that that kid was like living through, at such a young age. And yeah, I would definitely say for anyone who hasn't heard this record to put it on, even if it's not necessarily musically right up their street. I feel the lyrics alone are something worth
yeah.
investigating and taking in.
Yeah, there's always something to be said for like really powerful lyrics, even if the music's not typically your bag for sure. So
Yeah,
the Drug Church record. Yeah, like I say, I've listened to it a few times and it's I don't know, I think I've been listening to it at the point where I've been more in the mood for something else
right.
because
Yeah,
it hasn't like stuck, but I know it's really good. Every time I've listened, I'm like, no, this is just a genuinely a really good record. And like you said, lyrics on it are incredible, like really biting and like
yeah.
informed.
And for a guy, well, Drug Church have put out, four or five records, maybe more. And then, he's been in self defense family and stuff. I think as a lyricist, if you've been around that much and particularly doing lyrics that are quite personal and things like that, to have such great ammo for some really, like lyrics that resonate quite a lot this far into like your musical career. I mean, I think that kind of speaks quite highly of his ability to
Yeah.
write really good lyrics, and particularly I think there's a lot because he doesn't really scream as such. He doesn't necessarily sing, but the vocals are very easy to pick out. They're quite clear. With this type of music, you can't really hide behind shouting to kind of hide sort of half cooked lyrics, if you know what I mean. It's like the lyrics have to like really hit home, and I think they do on this record personally.
Yeah. No, for sure. Um, so that's a really cool pick actually. Not had made me think about the new Drug Church record again. So that's always a good thing.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah,
Probably give that a listen
like I said, there
when
was
I
so
can.
many to kind of pick from, and I just thought try and pick something that hopefully might not have been like too close, on people's radar. I mean, I sort of, I guess, like honorable mentions that I always forget if it's Umbra Vitae or Vitae, but that new record is awesome as well. That was
Oh yeah.
definitely like in, sort of close to being picked. Yeah,
Jacob Bannon does death metal. I'm all yeah, like
yeah,
it's
it's
always
so
going to
good.
be good.
I like that first record a lot as well, but this one's just got some great
It's very,
moments.
very good. Yeah.
Yeah, would love to see him live. Hopefully they come over at some point.
Oh, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of upcoming plans, then we'll move into the next bit that I mentioned to you before, which is we'll talk a bit about what you've got coming up in 2025. insofar as you can tell us.
Yeah, so I guess starting with the church road side of things, we already have like out in the public sphere like three records that all totally different, and yeah, which once again I guess kind of perfectly sums us up. So we're kind of getting off to a great start next year. So Grief Ritual's debut album Collapse is out in January, which will be the perfect bleak and harrowing soundtrack to
That's
everyone
yeah, yeah.
in winter.
That's gonna be a real like tail end of January. Everyone's a bit tired of the weather, and it's like then you're just gonna drop Grief Ritual on them.
Yeah, the Christmas lights have been taken down. There's not even that little bit of joy left. So
Yeah, your New Year's resolutions are
like that.
failing, and you're
Yeah,
sick of work already.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, the record just, I mean, you probably, oh, I mean, I'm guessing you've heard it in full
Yeah,
anyway. For people who've just heard the singles, you kind of get a taste for what you're in for, and it's just like, an assault on the senses. But literally, though, I know it's like kind of a term that gets bounded around quite a lot. It's so intense. And I was chatting with the band the other day, and I was just explaining one of my favorite elements to it is the sort of the added textures and sort of the industrial side that they've added to it. I mean, like obviously this is something bands are kind of doing these days. But I feel like the stuff they've added to their music, it really, I don't know, what it reminded me of was the first Terminator movie and like the soundtrack to that, like all the real sort of like hard, like synth bass, intense kind of sounds that are going on when you're just seeing like Arnold Schwarzenegger like coming to kill Sarah Connor. That's kind of like what the more industrial elements of the Grief Ritual record remind me of. But that's perfect though, because like they're kind of explaining how the world is, fairly dystopian. And in my head, all I can conjure up is Skynet and
a dystopia. Yeah,
1,000 crushing skulls and stuff. But it's an insane record. And if anyone listening to this hasn't A, heard the singles yet, or B, seen them live, I would, yeah, definitely
yeah.
say.
Definitely vouch for both the singles and seeing them live. I can't remember when the last time I saw them was, but probably at the Black Heart, and they are extremely good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Just absolutely punishing in the best sense. So yeah, 100% get on that. And then in February we have the latest Wren record coming out. So and oh man, yeah, this record awesome. Like talking about not having a band and needing someone to kind of scratch that itch. Wren's that for me for like Neurosis. Once again, their own thing, but like it kind of has certain elements that tick that box. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, so and we've known Wren and like known them personally and their music for some years. Justin worked with them previously on one of their earlier records, and they were kind of one of those bands I was hoping the stars would align at some point and we could do something with, because
yeah,
you really dig their music, and the latest LP is just yeah,
yeah,
chef kiss.
yeah. That first single's just come out, hasn't it? That's excellent.
Yeah, and for me, like not only Neurosis, but there's like kind of vibes of Sumac and that kind of more rootsy, esoteric kind of side of, I guess, doom or post rock, I guess, which I love. I mean, Sumac's latest record, going back to albums of the year, that would be another one for me that would be very, very close to the top. But I digress. It's great to be working with Wren, who are doing kind of stuff in that sphere, and the album is just yeah, so good, man. Absolute perfection. So yeah, so quite a contrast from Grief Ritual in January to Wren in February, and then we have Forlorn in March, which once again is kind of like sort of jumping all over the the
Yeah,
spectrum. What we can.
I'm so excited about that Forlorn record because they are really quite special, I think.
They are, yeah, absolutely. Because like they're a band that just nail it on all fronts. Like the music is great, like in terms of production, the music itself. It's got a USP. It doesn't necessarily sound like anything else, but then also the visuals and the
Oh,
concept around everything. Because we were chatting with Megan about Wicca and sort of pagan traditions and stuff. And it's something that obviously is used a lot within metal, but a lot of people don't really know their onions and they kind of just use the imagery. Whereas Forlorn and Megan in particular, like
it's part of
They're
their
into
DNA.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's a huge part, and it makes for some truly interesting lyrics and visuals as well.
yeah. Really excited about that because I think I first saw them. I think I saw them opening for, I want to say Urn.
Oh, cool. That's a good.
Um, no, shit. No, it wasn't. Urn were on the same bill. It was Urn Forlorn, or Forlorn Urn, and I can't remember who the headline was, which is really bad. But it was at Islington O2.
Oh, okay, fair. I
Fuck,
think
was it? It might have been
how
Devil Sold His Soul actually.
oh, sick. Now that's a lineup, yo.
Yeah, I think it was. I think that was it. So yeah, that was my first kind of thing with Forlorn. And my initial takeaway was like, I get a couple of shades of Rollo Tomasi, and
Yeah.
not to be lazy in the comparison, but
No,
like there's a
no,
there's
cool.
a couple of shades of it. And then as I heard the newer stuff, I was like, they're really coming into their own. So that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I feel like they're taking, influence from a lot of different places, but then it culminating into something
Yeah.
cohesive, which is always the key part. But they're
Yeah, and
doing that.
depending on when this runs, because I haven't decided on timings yet. I'm really excited to chat to Megan in a couple of days. So this will
Oh,
either make perfect sense or none at all.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, she'll be a great interview because once again, any band or artist that's got like a lot to talk about behind the music always makes
Yeah,
for an interesting listen. But yeah, I mean, so that's Church Road kickstarting in 2025, and
what a start!
I know, right? I mean, this is the thing. It's like I think going back to what we were saying, this is why our year always seems like it's just going so quick because we're fortunate to have such a plethora of light and shade and different stuff going on at the label and just keeping us occupied at any given time. But yeah, once again, just like all the bands super lovely, and I feel like they're yeah quite exceptional records. So very very excited to be kickstarting the year
Yeah,
with those bad boys. um
that. Sorry, as an aside, actually, it reminds me. That means we'll be getting to see some of that new stuff live when Forlorn play Noise Fest in April.
yes
Shameless plug, but
yes
we've got Forlorn on the bill,
You'll be
and
oh, and yeah, I have to say hats off once again for cooking up an absolute, extraordinary lineup. Like I'm stoked that the first year was such a banger that it's like turning into an annual thing.
yeah, I think we went away from year one going, let's I think the day before the first one this year, we were going like we'll take a few weeks, we'll finish doing all like the back, behind the scenes, like all the financials and sorting everything out, making sure everyone's paid, etc. The next day at breakfast we were like, so next year?
Yeah. Just everyone like was just yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
everyone was in
all
various
jumped
stages of
across fuel and club across the street, right?
yeah, so we like this year was Fuel and the Moon, RIP. Um,
Oh, is it gone? Oh shit.
Yeah, Moon just announced its closure, which is really sad.
Yeah, been there for a while.
Yeah, really great venue, accessibility wise as well. But yeah, no, we've got club upstairs and downstairs.
Sick.
And yeah, Fuel, as that's kind of like spiritual home of noise almost. Jack cooked it up while he was working there, I believe. Like so,
Oh really? Oh, it's
yeah,
only appropriate.
yeah. So like, I think in some way, at the very least, in some way, like Cardiff is always going to be part of like noise, and I think especially Noise Fest, it makes sense to hold it there.
It's a good
And
scene in Cardiff as well. Like,
yeah, it's really cool. We get to put on bands like I think it was. I don't want to lie, but I think it was Burner's first show in Wales when they played this year.
quite possibly, yeah.
Um, Certainly it's been some bands like first few shows in Wales, which is really cool. Like we're happy
Yeah.
we can bring people down for that. So yeah, yeah, we're looking forward to that one. Sorry, I got you. I sidetracked you there.
Ah, that's all good. Yeah, no, like as I said, hats off. It's a sick lineup and long may it rain into years to come.
We hope so.
Sick. Yeah, so that's kind of the Church Road vibe. And then for ETS, so this is like right on the cusp of like announcing stuff. So I'm not much more sort of armed and ready to give more details away, but new music I can at least say is imminent and not a year away, like as opposed to last year's podcast. So yes, a new music like really soon, like super soon. So I'm very excited. As a the whole band, it's no easy task recording an album and then having to sit on it for a whole year,
No.
but we feel it's been the right thing to do because it's just given us the exact amount of time to kind of like get all our ducks in a row and make sure we've had enough time to like do every single thing that comes with making an album and do it justice, be the videos, the artwork and promo photos and all of that kind of stuff. So even though we've been quiet on the gigging front, we've been sort of keeping occupied with all of that. We were over in the States shooting the music videos for it, which was definitely an experience and a highlight of the year. Yeah, and yeah, I can't. I'm very very excited to to put the music videos out because yeah, I'm stoked with them. Very 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 excited. Yeah, and just looking forward to playing some shows. Some more of those will be announced soon, and just yeah, playing some heavy metal.
That's yeah, really excited for that one myself as well because
Oh, sick.
I love Conquering and I loved Eternal Forward Motion. I think like that was the first and last show I saw in 2020, I think,
Oh,
was
right.
you, Palm
Yeah.
Reader and Cruelty at the Underworld on
Good.
it on Eternal Forward Motion. Like
Yeah, before the world ended. It's so funny 'cause
weeks before, yeah.
it would feel like a long time ago without the pandemic, but considering we had the pandemic as well, I mean that almost feels like a literal lifetime ago
It
now.
does. Yeah.
With so much how much has changed pre and post the pandemic, it's like wow, that's an alternative reality. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's yeah, it's like I mean, obviously the people who will listen will determine the how good the record is, but in terms of us, it's nice each time we do a record, we have that feeling of like, oh, this is night and day better than the last one. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
that shit. Listen to this one instead. So yeah, very excited to see if other people are vibing with that, or if we're just extremely deluded. We'll find out one way or
I
another.
remember you saying you tried a bunch of new stuff with this one last year, so I'm quite excited to hear what you've cooked up. Which and
Yeah,
what which and now it's not a year away, so that's even better.
I know exactly. It's like you almost have to park the excitement. That's what I had to do. Like when we kind of got the first, kind of like the mix was together and the album was kind of done. It was like enjoy it for like a week or so, and then it's like, all right, you have to put that down now because then you
I can't
start.
get too excited.
Yeah, because you start writing demos in the interim as well, and then you don't want to do the whole thing of like, oh, I've been listening to the old songs, like I'm bored. I want to do this like the new stuff now. That's probably 2 years away from coming out, so you have to like pace yourself, remain excited about the new stuff. But we are, so yeah, I can't wait to get that all rolling, and
For
it
sure.
will be but a mere moment away.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it's probably as good a place as any to leave it. So new music and shows. Obviously, Church Road starting the year off very nicely with three great records as well. So yeah, thank you again for your time. It's been an absolute joy to do this a year on.
Yeah, yeah. Same time next year.
Why not?
Yeah, hell yeah. Cheers, Will.
Cheers. I'm joined by Elle from the excellent post-rock slash metal prog, everything under the sun, as well as a bit of doom, Mountain Caller. Phenomenal band. Yeah, how are you doing now? It's good to see you again.
Hi, it's good to see you too, Will. Thanks for having me on. Uh, yeah, everything's really good, thank you. Uh, life is good. Writing's going well. Yeah, can't complain.
Glad to hear it, and it's nice as well that we're speaking again. I think as kind of as at least the second time you've come on this podcast. I think possibly the third actually
Yeah,
as
I
the
think
albums of the
so.
year. So it's nice. It's nice to kind of catch up at the end of the year and go, what's been going on? So yeah, speaking of, you've had a pretty good year, I think. Obviously you released your second album earlier in the year, the sort of the very start, went down really well. You had that great release show at the Black Heart, and you've just played I guess it'd be your final gig of the year last night, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
not
right.
Not when this goes out, but it was last night.
Yeah, it was a great evening. We were on with Boarhead. Sadly, Witch Picnic couldn't make it in the end, but Boarhead were really lovely guys and a fantastic band that everyone should immediately check out. Some storming riffs, really fantastic musicianship. It's very much my thing. Fuzzy, riffy, glorious goodness. I was at the front, nodding along. Fantastic.
Yeah. Sounds like a really good fit for a mountain caller bill.
Yeah, I think we went really well together. I was saying to the guys it'd be great to figure out a tour sometime because we just all got on really well, really good vibes, I think. So we'll see if we can figure out something like that. Maybe the stars will align sometime next year. But yeah,
Fingers
it was
crossed.
a great show, and we also played that weekend with Elephant Tree fairly recently. Well, it feels recent to me. That was extraordinary fun as well. Some really great shows with those lovely bozos.
Yeah, they've been inactive for a little bit, haven't they? They sort of, I think they went on hiatus, if I'm not mistaken, and kind of took a bit of a break, but really, really cool band.
Yeah, really cool, and they seem to be doing a lot of stuff again now. I've seen their name popping up on all kinds of really great bills for city festivals and all kinds of stuff, which is obviously really well deserved. And yeah, I'm looking forward to everything they continue to do.
Yeah, nice. So your year then, how has it been since kind of releasing? Because was it February the album came out, or was it January? It was around then, January, February, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, well remembered. It was, I think, end of January it actually came out. And then and we'd been touring with Urn at the end of the year prior to that, and did a bunch of gigs early this year, building up to that release show. We wanted to have a bit of a gap between the release show and the actual album release, just to figure a few things out logistically, because obviously Max is abroad at the moment in Canada, and that's going really well for him. He's very happy. They've received a lot of kindness and generosity from the people of Toronto, and he's living his best life.
Good.
And just very recently got engaged to his long-term girlfriend Elle as well. So he's winning at life. And after that,
Fantastic.
it's actually been kind of quiet for us because we have been working to bring our deputy drummer Alex up to speed, which we have done. It's obviously not a very easy set of songs to learn as a drummer, big shoes to fill. And some of the stuff is written by Claire and I on the drums. Max is very kind to just pick stuff up and play it. So some of it really is pretty nutty. But Alex is also an absolutely incredible drummer, very experienced, a very lovely guy, someone that I've known for an extremely long time. Um, and that's been going famously. So I think that, to be honest with you, we would have liked to have been able to do more post-album release, but sometimes life just pans out the way it pans out, and we've had to roll with the punches and just do the best we can and enjoy every moment of it on the way, like we always do. Um, and it's been good. It's been tricky, but very good, I think.
Good. No, I'm glad it's gone really well. I'm glad Max is doing so well as well. It'll be nice to, I mean, hopefully he comes back.
We'll see. I mean, he really is having an absolute belter. I think one of the really sort of fortunate things about our position is just that Alex is so good
Yeah,
and such a lovely guy. It's really a golden touch to be able to find someone who both has the chops and is the right kind of personality, even for long-term depping, finding someone that fits, the mountain caller mold could and should have been, I think, a real challenge. But
Yeah.
our luck as a band continues.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so yeah, we're just, I think, all very excited about whatever this next album holds and are very focused on that right now.
Perfect. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about that in a short while, but speaking of albums, the big reason we're kind of doing this is to talk about what's been coming out this year. Obviously, as we mentioned, Chronicle 2 Hypergenesis, phenomenal record. You can pick it as your favorite if you want, but I suspect you'll have quite an interesting pick as well. Is what has been your favorite records come out this year?
I'm really excited to be here to talk to you about this. I've got it next to me just because I'm a total swot. It is Pines from Low Beans of Hope.
Oh, that is a great album. That is a really great record.
I've been listening to it so much since it came out and really, really enjoyed the first time I got to put it on vinyl, where obviously it sounds even better again, just so alive and so rich. Um, and really, I'm sure Joe will be cringing to hear me say it, but I think that it's a sort of quiet masterpiece that they've put together here. I'm really enamored with it.
I have seen nothing but love for that album because I think it's a case of not loads of people know, which is a shame, but the
Mm,
people that know kind of adore it.
yeah.
Um, and which I think is great. A friend of mine, I know a friend of mine reviewed it for Distorted Sound. I'm pretty sure they gave it a 10. I
Mm,
don't know if that withheld, stood up to the editing process. I hope it did because I don't, I do think it's just an absolutely stunning record. And yeah, it's Pine are one of those bands that I just think are really, really special. They do something so interesting with sort of within, I guess, like the very broad framework of post rock and kind of similar sort of ventures. They were absolutely spellbinding at Arctangent this year as well.
oh man, I was very sorry to miss that. Every time I've seen them, I've been absolutely blown away. I really hope to go. I think they've got a show at the Roundhouse in May next year here in London that I really want to go to. I think that's right. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, is that on the Desert Fest bill by any chance?
Oh, that would make sense actually.
I feel like it's around that time of the year, isn't it? Because I'm trying to rack
Yeah,
my brains for who could they be supporting at their because like Pine at the Roundhouse, come on.
yeah, yeah. That's going to be epic. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever format it's in, I'm going to be there for it.
Mm.
I think that this album, funnily enough, has appeared in my life kind of as the musical companion I didn't know I needed to where I am in my life at the moment. Because much like the record, I think I'm personally in a time of quite a lot of introspection and buried in quite a lot of heavy but important thought about life and being really kind of not in a morbid way, but quite preoccupied with sort of fear and complexity around my own mortality, which I think is a sort of natural thing that you'll get to. And this isn't a sort of, not in a bleak way, just in a kind of important and necessary way. And I really love the fact that this record, well, it starts off with the words each day, time drops a tiny death at your door. You could be forgiven for thinking, oh, here we go, this is going to be a really kind of dark exploration. But I find it to be, much to my pleasant surprise, a really kind of uplifting album and one that isn't afraid of the themes that it's exploring musically. It sort of has, it really like, I suppose, like the name suggests, is full of hope and a kind of patient examination of what it is to be alive and how precious life is and how there's beauty in the beginning, but also the end of things. And I love the fact that it seems to be taking you on a journey through this poem essentially that they've written. I mean, I could I could go on and on about this album just kind of conceptually, but it's really meant a lot to me to have this music accompanying me either while I'm working or maybe I'm taking a walk or I'm at the gym, whatever I'm doing. I might just pop this on and explore some of these things and find my way through stuff with it.
Yeah, I've always because I obviously know that the record before explored loss, as it
Mhm.
kind of as obviously the title was, and it explored that in a very kind of open heart, sort of honest way. And I feel like this one does a really similar thing, as you say, with its themes. But as the title says, there's like this quiet optimism throughout the whole thing, a sort of actually, you can find beauty in dark spaces. You just kind of have to look and
Mm.
kind of know what you're looking for almost. So yeah, Pine on Low Beams of Hope is absolutely a really, really beautiful album. And yeah, if people haven't heard it and you just want to be washed away by something that is really beautiful and emotional, I strongly agree with your pick there. I think it's a stunning album.
It really doesn't sound like anything else that I can think of. Maybe my references are too narrow, but I think that the extra kind of the texture that they achieve by having some, wind and brass and strings interacting, like woven in so beautifully with the traditional kind of heavy music instruments. It's just all so rich. There's so many lovely things to listen to and to discover every single time you listen to it. None of it ever feels kind of stuck on for the sake of it. I think that lots of really big heavy metal albums that use classical instruments, everything still feels very separate. I mean, to use a really kind of crude example, if you look at something like Symphony and Metallica, obviously they're reimagining existing music, but they kind of sit parallel to each other and move along. When something like Pine's records, everything is just so beautifully complementary and interconnected and stronger and better for it, which I think, as a musician, is a really difficult thing to achieve in the way that they've done it. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, I think there's a lot of times when we hear symphonic elements in music and you kind of maybe you think you wrote the song, then you wrote this.
Yeah,
And it was done as we want to accent the songs with this, whereas it's not an accent to Pine. It's a huge part of their like the identity of the song and of the music itself. So yeah, no, I again agree that I think it's what they do is incredibly challenging and they pull it off so well. But
yeah.
yeah,
They've got all of this kind of gentleness and these melodic, clean, lilting, wandering elements, but they can still hit you in the face with a big fat riff that makes you screw up your face. It's in the first track of the record, there's a moment, I think it's even like 7 minutes in, um, and then suddenly this big riff busts in, and the first time I listened to it, I was like, yes, give me that. So good.
and it's used when it needs to be, and it's kind of not necessarily sparing, but it's all the more impactful for you not kind of not seeing it coming and just dropping this huge weight on it.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, so that's Low Beams of Hope by Pine. Again, great pick. Definitely agree that it's one of this year's like best releases in terms of like inventiveness, creativity, and just sheer kind of emotional weight as well. It's yeah, great album. So moving on then, we'll looking ahead. It's 2025 and it feels weird to be talking about 2025 because I still don't think it's 2024. But what what's happening in the world? And obviously, like you say, at the moment things have been a little slower this year, but what's happening in the world of Mountain Caller for 2025?
We are just really focused in on writing the third record. We've talked a lot more than we previously have about what we want to achieve with it musically. And I think that's a really kind of positive and exciting thing. And I think we're going to try to do some things that really are at the edge of our imagination and capability. Whether or not we'll succeed and that will come across, for it remains to be seen. We don't know yet actually whether we're going to go straight in with trying to compose Chronicle 3, or if we're going to do a sort of spin-off record or a different part of the story, or sort of zero in on a particular part of the lore surrounding this world that we've created. I think at the moment we're figuring out some other stuff, although we already have a story in mind for Chronicle 3 and have done for quite some time. We know where we want to eventually take things. But I'm really excited about it. It takes us quite a while to write things. Some bands I think are very lucky and through whatever circumstances are able to follow up very swiftly on their previous records. But we're quite ponderous and we've got a lot of different things to figure out. So yeah, really focusing on that big time. And I think we've got a couple of shows booked in the summer next year, which we'll post about nearer the time so we can keep our hand in, maybe preview some of our new songs. But yeah, it's all about whatever the third album is.
Yeah. It's really interesting that you said because I was going to ask, like, if you'd kind of decided whether this is going to be Chronicle 3 or if you'd kind of gone, we're not sure yet. So it's really interesting that you're thinking of exploring like different realms. And I guess that's going to be, you've got the story already. So it's going to be wherever the music leads, you might end up saying, this doesn't fit the story.
Mm, yeah, indeed. I mean, sometimes we do, I think, as we've spoken about before, come up with a section of story and then try to write the music based off of that to illustrate that. And sometimes it'll work the other way around, and the music will inspire the action of the story. And at the moment, I think we're more in that area where we're trying to relieve ourselves of pressure from the time being by just trying to write riffs and melodies and things that we really like and just have fun without really kind of bogging ourselves down too much in our self-created pressure. Because I think that as musicians, and I'm especially guilty of this, I think we create a lot of pressure for things to be of a certain standard. And I think that that's right. I think if you're not kind of a perfectionist about your own creations, then maybe something's a little amiss. But yeah, if I could definitely drive myself crazy if I'm not careful. So just enjoying dropping some big riffs, writing some mad drum parts, whatever it is, that's where we're at the moment. We've got a lot of material. We're just having a lot of fun. And I think 2025, we're gonna start holding ourselves to account and bringing things together and starting to make some big decisions about stuff.
Interesting. It sounds like it'll be a big, if even if quiet maybe on the live front, it still sounds like it's going to be a really big, important year for whatever happens afterwards. So yeah, really, really excited to see what comes of it. Definitely, whenever that might be.
Thank you, Will.
Yeah, and I'm sure
Appreciate
we'll probably end up catching up in about a year's time about it as well.
it. I hope so. I hope sooner than that.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, but definitely at least, definitely at least on when this happens in 2025, as I do like doing it. It's a nice little chance to catch up. But yeah, hopefully catch you at a show before then.
Yeah, that
But
would be
yeah,
great.
Thanks again for doing this. It is always a pleasure. So yeah, have a lovely rest of your evening and thank you again.
Thank you. Lovely to catch up.